grandfather, living in Wheeling, went to Princeton University for his training in Presbyterian ministry. He took over his father's practice in Wheeling after his grandfather finished only 3 years at Princeton. However, he was credited with 4 years later on. During the time that he was in Washington Jefferson College before Princeton, he economized for 6 months by the doubtful expedience of self-boarding in rooms on the 3rd floor of the round corner building on the southwest corner of Main and Maiden Streets. While in college, he took an active part in the work of the literary societies, was a member of Phi Gamma Delta, he participated in baseball, being a member of the first 9 in his freshman year, president of the sophomore baseball club in the 2nd year. For while he was a pupil in the First Presbyterian Sunday School, long before, before long he became a teacher. After the death of his father in 1875, he continued as pastor until elected to the presidency of his alma mater, Washington Jefferson College, in December 1881. He had many honors during the time of his 33 years. He was elected first and served as moderator of the Washington Presbytery, including the Panhandle of West Virginia. He contributed many articles to the Presbyterian Banner, and for several years served that organization as an assistant editor. He became president of Washington Jefferson College. The curriculum, when he came to the WNJ, there were only 2 buildings on the campus. When he had left there had been erected the Thompson Memorial Library, the Thistle Physics Building, Hayes Hall Dormitory, and Academy Building purchased, and the old college building remodeled into the administration building. The campus was much enlarged, an athletic field was purchased, and a gymnasium was built on the campus. In addition to the honor of degree of a Bachelor of Arts he received upon graduation from WNJ in 1869, he was awarded the Doctor of Divinity by Hanover College in 1882 and from Princeton University in 1883. He also received the degree of Doctor of Laws from the Western University of Pennsylvania, now the University of Pittsburgh, in 1897, from the University of Pennsylvania in 1901, and from Missouri Valley College in 1906. He represented the Presbyterian Church at the Alliance of the Reformed Churches, later known as the Presbyterian Alliance, at London, England in 1889, and again at Liverpool in 1904.
Let me just interrupt you there and ask you what your understanding of his abilities and talents as an orator was.
Here's a paragraph. In Buffalo in 1904, because of an unfortunate slip in plans to elect him as moderator, he was able to take the floor as leader for the Cumberland Church in its movement to unite with the Presbyterian Church and thus heal a division of 50 years standing. In this debate, Dr. Moffat showed his exceptional ability as a debater against some of the most prominent leaders of the church, including Dr. Francis Patton, president of Princeton, and Dr. Henry C. Minton. He spoke with such force, clarity, and vigor that the project not only was endorsed, but the entire assembly recognized the dominant ability of the man. So that the following year, 1905, at Winona Lake, he was elected moderator by acclamation, a rare occurrence in Presbyterian General Assembly annals. There's another paragraph from 1810, the evangelistic Cumberland Presbyterian Church developed within the Presbyterian Church, and by the end of the 19th century, it had almost 200,000 members. It was a thorn in the side of the mother church for almost 100 years. In 1906, a reunion was effected between the two churches, and from the 20th century history of the city of Washington and Washington County by McFarland in 1910, it's quoted, I quote, "No one person attained such worldwide renown in working out the problems involved as Reverend James D. Moffat, D.D., a graduate and for over 27 years the president of W.J. College in Washington, PA. It was this ability and the clear insight into a future course that made him a dominant figure in the Presbyterian Church at large in all the local presbyteries. He was able to see and voice by plain and simple words the solution of breaches that occur from theories not based wholly on fact. And though all the discussions there were at times an amazing unevenness, through all the discussions there were at times an amazing evenness of temper and a sincere earnestness of thought and expression that carried his thoughts to those who were not previously convinced. Ardently believed that education and Presbyterianism were dependent on each other for the common good. In one address, he cited 3 Presbyterian ministers, all Presbyterian graduates, who very early in Washington County history boarded students without compensation in order to give them English, classical, mathematical, and theological training. As mentioned before, his father was a recipient of such unselfish devotion from Dr. Patterson and Dr. McCook in Lisbon, Ohio. Speaking of pioneer education in Washington County at the 8th Congress of the Scotch-Irish in America in 1896, he said, quote, "For Scotch-Irish development, religion must be intelligent and intelligence must be religious. Indifference to one causes in time deterioration in the other. At another time in this community, at least southwest Pennsylvania, neither Presbyterianism nor education flourished without the other." A strong believer in education for the ministry. And it goes on and on. While president of the college, no matter how heavy his teaching schedule, he was teaching numerous classes. And all his constant campaigning for funds, was called upon to speak at all sorts of places, delivering all sorts and types of sermons, addresses, lectures, and talks. Even a cursory glance at his engagement calendars would be enough to convince anyone of the busy speaking schedule the president of Washington Jefferson seemingly felt obliged to fill. He was seldom idle on vacation trips. He spoke at various types of meetings and conventions during the summer months. In 1903, Dr. Moffat and his family visited California and the Hawaiian Islands on a 3-month tour. And he sent in his regular editorial contributions to the Presbyterian Banner, in this case observations of the southern states, New Orleans, the Southwest, Grand Canyon, California, and the Hawaiian Islands. He spoke in various places along the way. He received flattering offers from prominent members to become their pastor. The First Presbyterian Church of Pittsburgh paying $5,000 a year in 1892, that is, plus the use of the manse, his salary almost double the amount he was then receiving, would gladly have him for their pastor. Moffat declined all offers. His devotion to his church was not to be exercised through a regular pastorate. When elected moderator of the Presbyterian Assembly, he visited Presbyterian synods and churches through the country during the year he was a moderator. He spoke at all meetings he attended. He traveled more than 40,000 miles in his efforts to visit and speak. From Judge McIlvaine, a college trustee, he had an additional and unique degree of ex-moderator and general balance wheel of the Presbyterian Church. When he retired, the Presbyterian Church of the Covenant in Cincinnati, Ohio, one of the oldest and largest in the denomination, gave him In January of 1915, a conditional call to be their preacher. Dr. Moffat accepted the position on a temporary basis. He would depart from Washington every Friday evening, preach in Cincinnati on Sunday, and return home on Monday. By the end of his 32 years of service, the endowment of the college was increased due to, in large part to his efforts, roughly from $177,000 to $1 million. He saw to the locating of an athletic field, bought it, then requested the Board of Trustees to authorize the purchase. He suggested the need for a gymnasium, then proceeded to raise the funds for it. In 1895, he recommended the hiring of a full-time physical director. The executive committee of the board promptly authorized him to find and hire such a director. It was a source of wonderment where he derived so much energy and where he obtained the time to be interested in and carry out so many different details. In his list of sermons